Welcome to the Radio Horror YouTube show here at here in my home, not at WCW. I'm not at WCW, but I'm in the burbs. I'm in the suburbs actually, which is pretty funny considering that we're talking about the burbs out of the blue, kind of a fluke, just being like, "Hey, we've never talked about the burbs." I don't even know if it's an anniversary of the film. It's 1989. Is that an anniversary this year?
Yeah, 35. It actually celebrated its 35th anniversary within the past week or so. Because
Oh, okay,
I posted on the Blonde in Front and you commented on it. So that's how you
okay.
knew.
All right, yeah. So 35 years ago, when I saw this in theaters, I think I saw this alone back when you could drop a 9-year-old off at the theater by himself, and not have to worry about, being kidnapped. Your parents were just like, "Oh, he'll be fine. Don't leave the theater." Okay, yeah, because that's still safe. But yeah, I saw the Burbs, I think, alone because I knew who Tom Hanks was, and I remember leaving the theater and there was a giant poster for the Ghostbusters or whatever. But the Burbs completely blew me away. I was scared crapless by the end of the movie, but I still absolutely loved it. And cemented in my belief forever and ever. I don't care if he won Oscars for Philadelphia or Tom or Forrest Gump. The Burbs is Tom Hanks' best damn movie ever. One of the last few comedies, honestly, he did before he became this auteur serious actor. Um, I guess the man called Otto, someone says, is actually kind of a comedy, but it's more like a satirical comedy on old people and being grumpy. But I digress. I didn't see that movie. But The Burbs, fantastic movie. Katie's going to talk about it, and then I'll go over some of the great stuff that you can find on this Blu-ray, which you should pick up. Um, it's the definitive release for The Burbs, as its DVD treatment was kind of lackluster back in the day.
Yes, The Burbs, directed by Joe Dante, that
Yes.
many will remember from Gremlins, but also Inner Space and The Howling. He did all three of these films, as well as many others, including one of my favorites, Piranha, which I love, the 1978-79 Piranha. And then also he did an excerpt from Twilight Zone, which was one of my favorites. It was written by Dana Olson, and it stars, as Chris said, Tom Hanks, Carrie Fisher, Bruce Dern,
Yes.
Rick Dukeman, Corey Feldman, and many others. And The Burbs is really about people in the burbs, just, in my opinion, trying to find something to enlighten their lives. And if they can't do that with themselves, they want to do it with something they don't understand and they don't know, aka some neighbors who just moved in. Now, Tom Hanks plays Ray Peterson, a family man who is taking the week off. We don't really know why, which is somewhat, as a kid, I didn't really pick up on that, but as an adult, I definitely did. I also realized as an adult that apparently no one works on this street, which is very interesting because these are very big houses. So I would love to know what they were doing in the 1980s that no one was working, but everyone could afford these houses. Rick Dukeman plays Art, Ray's neighbor. Bruce Dern plays his neighbor across the street. Ray is kind of just really not happy with himself, and his wife Carol, played by Carrie Fisher, can see that. She's trying to convince him to go to the lake, do something, and he just, wants to take the work off. We can work off and be lazy. I have no issue with that, Ray. Believe me, you and I right now, I feel you, brother. I totally feel you with that. Take the week off. Don't do anything. That is an awesome staycation, which that was never brought up before. But that is what that would have been. Unfortunately, that's not really what we're seeing in the film. There's some neighbors called the Klopeks that have moved in next to Ray. The house in I feel like they haven't lived there that long, and which is also kind of strange because the house definitely looks dilapidated and the yard is just abysmal. Now, I'm not for the whole like you have to have the green yard and do all that, but it definitely shouldn't be dirt in the front and back. So Ray's got some issues with the Klopeks. They also with the film, it keeps bringing up if they are Slavic, and I don't know if that was a thing in 1989, if that was supposed to be something like, I don't know honestly what Slavic is. I don't know if that was like a Cold War thing, like with Russia, but it definitely is brought up a couple of times, which would not be happening now. And it was a little confusing like trying to go back, but Ray's neighbor Art definitely fuels a fire of this suspicion, this like, oh, they're the bad guys. We need to find out what's going on. You know, there needs to be some sort of evil going on and all that stuff. Art is also very yeah, I mean, one of the big I didn't really have an issue with what happens at the end of the Burbs. I had a major issue with Art though. Watching this again as an adult, man, that performance just grated me. It was like fingertips on I almost said fingertips on a chalkboard. Uh the first time you meet Art, he has a rifle and he's trying to shoot a crow, almost shoots Ray, and then is completely not looked at or anything for the rest of the film. Kind of problematic. But the more the film goes on, the more it's like this, you know, the Klopeks they're different, they're new, we don't understand them. You know, there's bees that come out of their light thing in the front that apparently sting Art and Ray when they're trying to like ring the doorbell. Yet there's only the only way you notice that is there's like one little bandage that Art has. Art also happens to drink with the neighborhood high school kid, which again, seriously, really, why is this guy not in jail? I don't understand. Like, why are we not looking more at Art than we're looking at the Klopeks? It's all this suspension and build up. Many things in this film I remember as a kid. One, the music by Jerry Goldsmith, who's done many scores for Joe Dante, especially the Gremlins. If anyone remembers that score, it's very apparent with his music. One in the opening scene when they're showing the neighborhood. You've got the paper boy who's like throwing the paper. He almost hits Ray, and Tom Hanks in pajamas and robe throws his coffee at the paperboy. That is something that I very much remember from the trailers, from the commercials, and watching the film. The other thing is when Art brings over a book about Satanism. Where did he get this? Again, not really explained. It's 1989. Did he go to the library? Who knows? Apparently, Art just brought.
I found books of Satanism in the 80s too, the 90s.
Well, yeah,
It's
but
crazy.
you're not a mid 30s to early 40s year old man who knows what the hell he's doing, who just randomly has this book that he brings over to his neighbor's house. But the scene in that really, I remember saying this as a kid. I'm gonna kill everyone. Satan is good. Satan is my pal. That was hilarious. That brought back so many memories. And it's little things like that in the Burbs that I adore. Are there issues? Yes. One issue that
Yes.
I noticed when Ray is looking out the window when it's like raining and it's dark, he has the lights on in his bedroom, but he's looking out the window and he can clearly see the Klopeks like digging the backyard.
In the
Science
robes, right? In the
in the
robes.
robe, yeah, in
Yeah.
robes with like hoods and all that stuff. So I'm like,
Yeah.
one,
And how many people are out there too, right? Because there's only what,
three.
three members
No,
of the
there's
family, but
three.
there's like
There's
what, like
three, and
four.
they're like digging,
It
and
looked
they're
like
like
there was
digging.
more people.
But it's also it's like one, why are you wearing ceremonial robes like when it's like pouring down rain? Two, and I didn't even think about that one, but two, if you have the lights on when it's dark outside, you're not really going to be able to see the dark. You're not going to be able to see what's outside. People inside will be able to see you, but it's not going to work really that way. So that was like, okay, that's also in the beginning when it like it's very cool in the beginning because it has like the universal logo, which is, you know, basically the earth, and then it like goes through like the universal logo onto United States and then pinpoints an area in the upper Midwest. I originally thought that was Chicago, but then when I was realizing that's like that is way too far away from Lake Michigan. That could not be Chicago. That's got to be like Iowa. But then later on in the movie, they talk about, oh, we need to go to the lake and there's too many tollways. I'm like, there's no tollways in Iowa. What the hell? So yeah, it's got to be set in Chicago, which the neighborhood, if anyone recognizes it when you see the set, I think the Munsters were there. I recognized it
Yes.
because
Fright Night.
I'm a little lady and do stuff. Desperate Housewives. Very. I mean, some of those houses in Desperate Housewives haven't even changed at all. Like
Nope.
and it this film has like major horror icons in it. You've got Courtney Gaines, who many people will know from Children of the Corn. He plays Klaus Klopek. You have references to the movies The Sentinel. You have what is it? Race with the Devil. Yeah, Race with the Devil, The Exorcist, and Chainsaw Massacre 2. But then, even prior to this entity being a horror icon, you have true horror royalty, Precious from Silence of the Lambs, who is in this film as an older neighbor's dog, Queenie. That right there is should make this film like an iconic film because
Oh
Precious.
yeah, that was only a couple years later.
Oh yeah, because Precious is. I mean, everyone knows who Precious is, even from memes. Even if you don't know Silence of the Lambs or the Burbs, you're gonna know that dog.
Mm.
And that dog was in the Burbs. You know, I it was butchered by critics when it came out apparently, but it made a lot of money, so it's one of those things, and it's become a cult favorite. I do like the fact that it kind of has the western elements in it with sort of like the Sergio Leone uh uh different spaghetti western aspects, and also a little bit of John Ford at the end. The close-ups of when they're doing that, I think, are great. I definitely felt like this could have been more of Rear Window, but like just getting the neighbors involved, I think was a better way to go for it. But it's funny with similar to Rear Window, when Jimmy Stewart's in his pajamas, like the majority of the movie. Really, Tom Hanks is in his pajamas for half the film. During the filming is when they had the writer's strike. So everything that's on there, they could not touch. A lot of this film had improv, which I think benefited the film. The writer was actually an actor on the film at one point, but yeah, once there's writer strike, you can't touch anything.